That's 520-497-4955. 520-497-4955.
Attention Tucson. We bring you every minute of Arizona men's basketball, both home and away, all season long. We are the home of the Arizona Wildcats. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We have the Arizona Wildcats covered on game day like no one else, with the biggest pre- and post-game coverage in the Pac-12. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
From the what? Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket, getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
Time is fleeting. Madness takes its toll. But listen closely.
Not for very much longer.
I've got to keep control.
I remember doing the time warp, drinking those moments when the black dick would hit me and a voice to be calling. Let's do the time warp again. Let's do the time warp again.
J-Dub starting with the happy Halloween music today. Didn't want to go sinister?
We got spooky
right off the top there, J-Dub?
Spooky coming later.
Didn't want to go spooky and sinister. I'm going a little Rocky Horror Picture Show there to start things out on Halloween Tuesday here in Tucson. Happy Halloween, October the 31st, the last day of October, which means there are only 2 months left in this calendar year. Welcome to the program, DK on the Sports Tip. I am David Kelly. He is J.W. Madden, also known as John Madden. Cricket will be along with us as well as we take you all the way today till 6 o'clock. Lots in store, lots to get to. You know, J-Dub, I was driving back from campus today, and that was the first time I really even thought, I probably should have worn something like Halloween-y today, and I just didn't really think about it. Did you think to wear anything?
I did. I wore my yacht rock. I'm a yacht rocker today.
Oh,
that's
that shirt you have on? I wish I could make it bigger so people could see. But
no, this is just a Margaritaville. I think themed shirt. Originally, I was going to go as a Midwesterner visiting Tucson for the first time in November and have they brought only Hawaiian shirts,
right,
which is
typical,
but
exactly
same thing.
Even better, Midwesterners visiting Tucson in January and thinking they can actually lay out at the pool.
I was driving into work today and I saw 10 or more winter coats, like with the full-on frills.
Wow. And
I looked at the temperature on my car gauge and it said 65.
Yeah, it was when I left here last night to go to the basketball game. It was a little chillier than normal. I actually wore my heavier coat because it's a little bit of a walk from the Giddings lawn over to McHale Center. I actually wore my heavier coat. That's the first time I've had that coat on probably since February. There you go. All right, there's J-Dub's shirt. If you are watching on one of our many streams, let me go full screen there. There we go. Now we got it. Yes, that is tropical right there, J-Dub. That is Halloween tropical.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely silk or rayon or something. I don't know. I don't even know where the shirt came from, to be honest.
What are you wearing right now for Halloween? I thought about after I decided, well, I should have worn something. I thought, should I maybe have dressed up as an umpire? Because you think I would have gotten booed?
Topical.
If I dressed
DK.
up as an umpire.
Topical
today. Yeah,
those are the best costumes, are ones that are based on recent events.
There you go. And the ones like that are. I never did the ones that were based on sayings. You know that I'm trying to remember. I saw a good one recently, and I cannot remember exactly what it was. But it's like a phrase, and then you dress like the. It's like usually a male and a female, and they dress whatever that phrase is.
Yeah.
You and Paige have never done that?
I don't think Paige and I have ever done a couple costume, to be honest.
It's what when I was in my 30s, which was a long time ago, I used to live to go to Halloween parties. Like that was the thing. It's like I went out. There was like probably 5 or 6 years in a row, J-Dub, where I went out and bought just like full-on costumes. Like went to the costume store and paid like $50 to $75 for an actual costume. Oh wait, J-Dub just broke out a hat now. Now you broke out a hat.
Yeah, I don't have a captain's hat at home, but I do have a Lake Powell special hat. This is meant for
Lake
keeping the sun
Powell?
sun off of your fair skin.
All right, there you go, man. You got the memo. Apparently, you got the memo for Halloween. I can't wait to see what
DK, I spent
what
4
Cricket's
minutes
got on.
and I went in my closet and I just picked a couple things out.
Okay, but you did a good job. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with that right there. Not too bad, J-Dub. Not too bad at all. But yeah, I used to live for Halloween to get a nice costume, go to the parties and hang out and that kind of thing. But I have not been to. I don't think I've been to a Halloween party since probably the aughts, the early 2000s. It's been that long.
For me,
probably over 20 years.
For me, I have an older sister, Laura, and she is just fixated on Halloween and has been my whole life. So I kind of felt like that was like her thing. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So I like Halloween. I definitely have dressed up on occasion. Going to parties. I spent a lot of time on University Boulevard for those kind of more college-aged adult Halloween parties. But I remember as a kid going out, because I didn't have brothers or sisters, so going out with my cousins or whatever. One Halloween, I didn't have an outfit, and my cousins, Marion and Martha, over by Saguaro's, where they live, over by Sabino, I ransacked their closet, and all they had was like a bike helmet. And so we ended up dressing up as a bicyclist, DK, and it was the greatest Halloween ever. You want to know why? Because the neighborhoods over there on that side of town, houses very close together. We're all three of us on bicycles, and it was like speed running Halloween. Like we kept going house to house, getting back on the bike, house to house to house. We were moving so fast because we had wheels. Wheels on Halloween is a bonus.
There you go. And so, what was your all-time favorite costume?
Oh, man. I've never really honestly been the one to like set my Halloween like going in June, July, where I'm already, scouring places. So it's always kind of a last minute thing for me.
Okay. There you go. All right. 520-848-1290. That is our phone number, 520-848-1290. We want to hear from you about what you are wearing tonight if you're going out for Halloween. What is the favorite candy that you like to get when you go out for Halloween? Or if you are going to be giving candy out to the kids, what do you buy the kids to hand out to them on Halloween? We can talk about all of that today. But first, we got to talk about the World Series.
Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff!
All right, it did not go well for the Diamondbacks on Monday night in Game 3 of the World Series. This game was scoreless through 2, but Marcus Semien would drive in a run in the third inning, and he would be followed to the plate by none other than Corey Seager.
And the first one to Seager is driven to right, and that's going to go, and it's 3-0 Texas just like that.
Well, I was just talking about change up middle in, and he was all over it and just crushed that ball.
That's the governor. Greg Schulte with the call on with Tom Candiotti. So it was 3-0. It would stay that way. Diamondbacks would get a run in the 7th, 3-1. They were trying to get things going in the 9th. Gabby Moreno would lead off the 9th inning, and this is what happened.
The 3-1 pitch to the Diamondback catcher. Outside, outside, called a strike by Alfonso Marquez, and now it's 3-2.
My goodness, that ball was way off the plate. That's a horrible call by Marquez. Not even close.
Yeah, that was not close at all. The fans are letting him know it. They've got every right to. 3 balls, 2 strikes to count. And the pitch to Moreno. And a ground ball down to third. Instead of a base runner, Marino is thrown out at first, one away.
That's the difference an umpire can make.
They're letting him know it. He missed the call.
And that's Alfonso Marquez was the home plate umpire last night for game number 3, and the Diamondbacks would go down 3-1.
Here we go on 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here comes. Struck him out swinging, and Texas wins game 3 by final score of 3-1 tonight.
How about the Texas Rangers? They are 9-0 in the postseason on the road. That is unthinkable to be able to go on the road and be undefeated on the road. Just hard to imagine. But what happened to Gabby Moreno there? Now, first of all, I umpired. Okay, I umpired for a number of years before I moved out here to Arizona, Little League, high school, on up. And I'm always going to be partial to the blue. Spent a number of years in minor league baseball. Got to know a number of these guys. Actually was in AAA calling games at the same time as Alfonso Marquez, who was behind the plate. Alfonso Marquez is a tremendous umpire. Tremendous umpire. And I said it a few weeks ago, I think it was last week actually, when we were talking about all the complaining about refereeing in the National Football League. Okay, I don't prescribe to that. I don't do it. I don't believe in it. These are human beings. They're out there like the players, okay? Christian Walker early in the game made a mistake. Ran through a stop sign, got thrown out at the plate, took momentum away from the Diamondbacks. Every game sees mistakes, offensively, defensively, officiating. The only way you're going to get rid of that is if you take the human element out of it. If that's what you want, if you want to take the human element out of it, then we can move forward with that. We can move forward with taking jobs away from human beings. If that's what you want. If you want to sit here and complain about referees and complain about umpires, we can set up the computers, we can set up the robots, and we can take jobs away from human beings if that's what you want to do. We'll get into what Torey Lovello, the manager of the Diamondbacks, had to say about that particular play coming up a little bit later. We are joined by the third member of our program, Cricket.
Greetings.
I got a greeting for you right here.
Okay. No!
Happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horathon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Don't forget to wear your mask at 9 so your face can disintegrate into snakes and bugs. Happy Halloween, Cricket.
Happy Halloween, gentlemen.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So are you all ready for the kiddos tonight?
I think mostly, yes.
Mostly. Okay, so tell me what's in. Do you have your bowls ready? Your bowls are all done?
Yeah, we did like gift bags. So there's like a bunch of candy in a little bag.
Gift bags?
Well, they're just like little bags, but I really want to hand out, and I'm handing out finger lights.
Mm-hmm.
They're just little like with bands, rubber bands, and like you put them on and then you just turn a little button and they light up.
Okay.
So they're really cool. So I wanted to hand those out to the kids, but I also wanted them to have candy. So they get a few things at our house. So I had to make little bags so that everything just wasn't a mess.
So are they starting without you? Because you'll be here a little bit after till right about dark. Do you get home as quickly as possible?
Yes, I'm going to rush. Drive as fast as I can.
Well,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'll be careful. I'm kidding.
So what are your favorite costumes to see the kids in? Do you have like favorites that you like, princesses or witches, or do you like the people costumes? Like when I was young, we used to like dress up as Fonzie and stuff like that.
Oh, that's super
like
fun.
Those types of costumes versus like the scary costumes.
I like seeing all the kids dressed up. I guess I don't have a favorite or least favorite. This year, I'm digging the creepy clowns. My nieces are dressed up as scary
creepy
clowns.
Yeah. You think there's going to be a lot of Barbie tonight?
I think that they say that that's going to be the most popular costume
for girls,
or maybe even boys as Ken.
Oh,
maybe
Ken, okay.
Perhaps because
Some
Ken was a big thing in the Barbie movie.
Absolutely,
I want to see some dogs like dressed up as Barbie or something. Like I want to see at least one dog costume.
Do people like do people take their dogs trick-or-treating and dress them up? Don't know if I've ever seen that.
Sometimes I've seen people take their dogs trick-or-treating with like the family, but I don't think I've ever seen.
Is get a white sheet and cut a couple holes and there's your ghost dog.
And yes, exactly. See? That's smart.
Underdog.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
That was one of my favorite cartoons growing up, Underdog. There's no need to fear.
Right.
Underdog is here. Did you watch Underdog?
I don't think so.
No?
Reruns.
Oh, my gosh.
Might have been before my time.
All right.
No, we watched reruns.
Add that to the list, J-Dub.
It's getting long.
Underdog night with Craig. We got to watch,
Underdog
Underdog all night long.
That list is long.
It's getting there. Every week. We might have to just add one thing every week. For goodness sake, and that kind of thing.
Are you guys handing out candy, by the way?
I don't think we're going to be doing that. I asked my wife. It was like, do we? Because I don't know that we kind of live in a little bit of an older setting, not like old people, but it's like I don't think there's. We had one young girl that lived in our complex, but then they moved out, so I don't even know if we have any kids in our complex.
Gotcha.
So probably not going to be doing anything of that nature tonight. So don't come to my house. I used to turn my lights off when I lived in Ohio. I wasn't into that whole.
I think kids mostly look for the decorations. So if you see a house that's got the lights off with no decorations, just
ignore that house.
Yeah. All right. So Cricket, when you come back at in the 5 o'clock hour, you're going to hear from the sinister Connell Cochran. He's going to tell you exactly why he did what he. Give me the music one more time, J-Dub. Give that music. Yeah. You're going to hear from Connell Cochran about why he did what he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bring your mask.
Yeah.
Bring your mask. Don't forget the mask.
Don't forget the big giveaway at 9.
Yes, wear the mask
right
at 9.
now,
Don't forget the mask.
We got the big traffic report at 3:15 with Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Reported collisions, Tankerverde and Catalina Highway, westbound I-10 near Palo Verde, and slowdowns for both directions of traffic on I-10. More slowdowns on Grant Road at Wilmot, Sabino Canyon north of Tankerverde for road work, and more road work slowing down traffic on northbound Colbert, Irvington. Breezy into this evening in clear skies with 51 is the low, sunny 81 tomorrow and 76 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
manipulated at home plate. But yeah, there were some calls that didn't go our way today. Was that the difference in the game? I don't know. I don't think so. They took advantage of it. Let's put it that way. If they were missed calls, they took advantage of it and won the baseball game the way they needed to.
Go to the fourth row on the left with Zach.
Hey, Tori. Kind of on that subject, I know there was another one in the third inning with Fott that was maybe a little more borderline, but in those situations, I know they've tested it out in the minors. Would you like to have like a challenge system in big moments like that to just kind of make sure you can get those calls right?
I'm probably going to punt on that right now. I know, like I said, Major League Baseball is doing a really good job of staying ahead of things, and they're doing their absolute best. I said it today when you guys asked me about the roof being open. I just said if there's a level playing field, that's all I care about, and I just want it to be neutralized, and everybody has the same crack at getting things right, and the umpires are doing their absolute best. And before I go any further, yeah, I know that Young's first at-bat and a second at-bat potentially should have been struck out, but it is what it is, and like I said, the umpires are doing their absolute best. I don't want to make a huge deal of it. I can go throw my hat in the office and do all I want to do in there. I may or may not. I probably will, but I got to find a way to turn the page too and work through the frustration of what happened today.
All right, that's the Diamondbacks manager, Torey Lovullo. And in case you weren't with us earlier, he was talking about this play that happened in the ninth inning of the game last night with the Rangers, Game 3.
Pitch to the Diamondback catcher. Outside, outside. Called a strike by Alfonso Marquez, and now it's 3-2.
My goodness, that ball was way off the plate. That's a horrible call by Marquez. Not even close.
Yeah, that was not close at all.
And that was last night on the broadcast there on the Arizona Diamondbacks radio network. Greg Schulte and Tom Candiotti with the call of that pitch. It was a 3-1 count on Gabby Moreno. Looked like he was going to walk, potentially put the leadoff runner on, down 2. Instead, it was the strike called 3-2, and then he grounds out on the next pitch. What did you think when you saw that? Now, again, when you look at the overhead camera, was the pitch off the plate? Yes. Was it way off the plate like Tom Candiotti contended that it was? I didn't think so. It was borderline in terms of the way that I saw it, but it was a ball nonetheless. Now, if you've got machines back there instead of humans, maybe you get that call. And they mentioned in Torey Lovullo's post-game press conference that they have experimented with a replay system in the minor league levels, minor league level that would allow you to review close pitch calls. That's something they currently do not have in Major League Baseball. I would not necessarily be against that in a situation like that if you wanted to potentially call for a review in that situation. Now, again, reviews are reviews. Doesn't necessarily mean because they review it that the people upstairs in the box are going to change anything. Maybe, though, they would have changed there, and then now at least you have a chance with a guy on base to potentially get something going and have an opportunity to tie the game. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. They also alluded to a play earlier in the game when Brandon Pfaadt was pitching. It was in the third inning when the Rangers got their 3 runs, where it appeared that he had Nathaniel Lowe struck out, but the umpire and Alfonso Marquez did not call the third strike in that instance, kept that at bat alive. Nathaniel Lowe ends up getting a double. He scores on the Marcus Semien single, and then Corey Seager hits the home run to give the Rangers a 3-0 lead. In a game they won 3-1. So multiple calls in that game that did not go in favor of the Arizona Diamondbacks. But you know what? That's the game of baseball. That's the way it works sometimes. Sometimes the calls are not going to go your way. Like my uncle used to tell me all the time, if you want to, hey, you can't control it. If it's close, swing the damn bat.
You might have heard, DK, that some fans around the old Pueblo complain about Pac-10 and Pac-12 basketball officiating. Do you know why that is?
Why is that?
Okay, it's not because they call everything tight or they call nothing. it's because there wasn't consistency between a first half or second half. So the issue here is if an umpire's calling the inside pitch a strike, right, then be consistent throughout the game. That's all that I think any fan or any player asks for. But if you don't know whether or not a pitch is going to be a strike or not, then you don't know whether or not you need to swing at it, right? You're basically taking the at-bat out of the hands of the batter because they have to second guess whether or not that pitch is going to be a strike or not.
Now, I will say this, and I want to hear from umpires on this. If you are an umpire, I want to hear what your thoughts on that was. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290. And I want to push back on something you just said there, Jed, because, again, when I umpired, the strike zone for me sometimes was dictated, and again, these were kids, not professionals. So sometimes you might extend your strike zone if you've got pitchers that can't put it on the plate.
Right.
From time to time. So sometimes as an umpire, your strike zone will change from pitcher to pitcher. There were times when guys would come in at the end of the game and you could tell they knew how to pitch. They knew how to paint the plate. Okay. So I might give, and as an umpire, you generally don't want to give both corners. If you're going to give a pitcher the inside corner, you generally don't want to give him too much off the outside corner. But if I had a pitcher that I felt could work both sides of the plate, I might give him a little bit more leeway because I know he's painting. So that's kind of the way I looked at it as an umpire, that sometimes your strike zone, when you say, have a consistent strike zone throughout the entire game, sometimes it's like your strike zone is dependent on the pitcher. You know, if you got a pitcher that's putting it on the plate, who knows how to deliver the baseball, you're going to give him, I think, more of a benefit of the doubt than, say, a guy who's all over the place.
I guess what I really mean is the most extreme. So if there's a pitch that's 2 inches outside, 3 inches off the plate, and that's called a ball in the second inning, and the same pitcher's on the bump 3 innings later, and that's called a strike.
Absolutely.
That's the issue I'm talking about,
Right.
is when you've got inconsistent balls and strike calls.
Right. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. We want to hear from you on all of that. We've got a lot to get to in this show today. Full show for you till 6 o'clock. We're going to get into Arizona men's basketball. They played their second exhibition game last night. You'll hear from Tommy Lloyd as well as the players on the win over New Mexico Highlands. One too many turnovers for my liking.
Just one?
In that particular game last night. It was sloppy, to say the least.
Yeah, I think they had 15 turnovers in the first half.
Ugh, yeah. I mean, and it's one thing, I think, if you're trying to play fast and you're turning the ball over, but these were just like negligent passes, just like dumb passes, just passes that you shouldn't be making.
I think it was Mr. Muehlbach. I recorded it and was listening to it back a little bit this morning. Made an interesting point where, the unselfish nature of Tommy Lloyd's system, in which you're always looking for the open man. And it's really about probing, drawing defense, kicking, so forth, repeat until you find an open shot. And having ideally 5 guys on the court, DK, who are comfortable from different zones, catching in different spots. Then you got 5 threats on the court. That's really tough to stop. But there's such a thing as being too unselfish and passing up lanes and looking for passes where maybe you really should have been more. So, number one, you have to be a threat to score to draw the defense to you. But it was obvious that team had seen some tape on Coach Lloyd's teams in the past, knew they were very pass happy, and was trying to jump early into some of those lanes. There was some just bad decision making, but I think a lot of those steals in the passing lane style was really just that team had scouted and was looking for the extra pass. Maybe like you might have seen TJ McConnell defended when he was on campus at the U of A. He wasn't really a threat from the outside, so defenses were always playing him to pass. There are guys on this team this year, DK, who can score from 3 levels, mid-range, outside, and get to the rim. You got to make sure that when you have an open look to take that shot, because otherwise that's the whole point of the offense. You get an open look, one too many passes on a few occasions there.
70 shots, though, they did take in this game. 70 shots. They took 37 threes. They made 11. Caleb Love led the way with 19 points. He had 4 of those turnovers. Caleb Love, 4 turnovers. Kylan Boswell, 4 turnovers. Jaden Bradley, 4 turnovers. So that was 12 alone between your 3 major guards in this particular ball game. They still, though, did have 28 assists on 34 made baskets. So a lot of passing, just not a lot of crisp passing in this contest.
I got like 5 pages of notes, and we can't get to it all, DK, but
5 pages of notes from an exhibition game.
No,
wow.
but why? Why? Because there's only 3 returning rotation players.
Yeah.
So there's so many new faces. There's so many new guys. And I can listen to the way they were scouted in their games in Europe. I can watch their games that they played last year in North Carolina or Alabama. But I like to see with my own eyes when they're in McHale in a Wildcats jersey. So first and foremost, Caleb Love's the real deal. Like, that guy's a true 3-level scorer. He's got a lot of bursts, really good, tight handles for getting in the lane. Decision making thus far has been great as to when to make when to find the open man, when to not. I really like his ability to finish at the rim. I don't think we've had a guy like that. No disrespect to Akinjo and some of the guys recently, they weren't quite as athletic to get to finish at the rim, but it might have been since Alonzo Trier that there's been a guy like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, a really polished scorer. KJ Lewis, though, is the guy who just jumps off the page for me because we mentioned he might be the odd man out a couple weeks back, talking about a 9-10 man rotation. I don't think that's going to be the case at all because watching him on the court, he reminds me a little bit of a young Reggie Geary, DK. And I would say that because the stature, about 6'3", 6'4", strong, but his tenacity and his get after it will on defensive end. He's picking up full court. And just the way he was, just unbelievable motor. And you add to that the skill level. I wasn't quite sure the polished skill would be there for KJ, but I'm seeing, and again, lower levels of competition will be interesting to see moving forward when he gets into real games and the pressure's really on. But from what I'm seeing right now, I mean, I think he's ready right now today to step into that role of the dude. You don't need to call his number for him to be super impactful on the game. You know what I mean? You do not need to call plays. You do not need to set him up for any kind of looks. He's just going to be active, get in the passing lane, really good rebounder. The other guy, obviously, that I wanted to talk about was Krivas, just because he hadn't been on the court before. He is so skilled for a 7'2" guy
Very
at that
impressive.
age. That being said, I think it's going to take a tiny bit of time for him to adjust to the speed and the strength of the game at this level. It felt like maybe the decision making was a split second, like a half second, a little bit too late. I don't think that could turn around by next game because this was his first actual in-game action. But man, he is going to be a real problem for defenders moving forward, and especially when you add into that where you got to deal with Pac-12 Player of the Year favorite Umar Ballo as the starter. And then you got Krivas, coming in as a potential backup for him. I just think this year alone, he's already going to make an impact with that size and his skill level. And just that second unit, DK, when they were running that second unit last 10 minutes of the game, I think they had 3 6'9" guys and a 7-footer. Anderson was out there, and just so much size. It's going to be really, really hard to keep some of those guys off the court. And I have a feeling Coach Lloyd's very young. He's still learning exactly what he wants to do as a head coach, the decisions he wants to make. I think he may be, I don't know if regret's the right word, but I think he has some ideas going into this season to maybe prepare some of that bench a little bit deeper, get them a little bit more minutes early in the season and a little more game experience so that you can rely and trust, because it's really about trust for the coaching staff to put those guys and expect there to be no drop-off, maybe 8-9 deep, because there's guys you're going to have trouble keeping them off the court.
9 guys played 14-plus minutes in that game last night. We'll get much more into Arizona basketball's second exhibition game. We want to hear from you on what you saw. A 94-65 win over New Mexico Highlands last night at McHale Center in front of over 11,000 fans. 520-848-1290 is the number to get on the program, though. Want to make sure we get you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Westbound I-10 near Palo Verde for a collision westbound side of I-10 near Palo Verde and freeway backups in that area. Eastbound I-10 near Prince Road, a vehicle fire reported. Expect fire crews on scene. Also crashed Tanca Verde and Catalina Highway. And we've seen some busy travel this afternoon for traffic Grant Road and Wilmot, Houghton, and Golf Links, and also Sabino Canyon north of Tanca Verde. And weather-wise, it's going to see breezy conditions into this evening, clear skies and 51 the low, sunny and 81 tomorrow, 76 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Boost Infinite.
Hey, if you're thinking of getting the latest iPhone, you need to stop and check out the wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station's network.
October is Squirrel Awareness and Appreciation Month.
Radio 1290.
Werewolves of London. Werewolves of London.
Reminds me of that movie, The American Werewolf in London. Did you ever see that one, J-Dub?
I did.
That was a good one.
It was scary for the time.
That was scary indeed. Early 1980s, I believe.
I like the practical effects, like John Carpenter's. John Carpenter directed Halloween 3. Like, I like his style. He did The Thing and a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, the practical effects is just some reason it's so much more scary than than graphics on a computer.
Last night, Arizona beats New Mexico Highlands in men's basketball 94-65. Caleb Love, 19 points, made 3 threes, had 3 assists, turned the ball over 4 times, had 2 steals. KJ Lewis, who we talked about, continues to stuff the stat sheet. 25 minutes, he had 10 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals for Caleb Lewis. Let's hear from KJ Lewis, I should say. Let's hear from Caleb Love and KJ Lewis after last night's game.
How do you feel that you're fitting in so far with the system and everything?
I feel like I've been fitting in really well. Just trying to take it day by day and continue to watch film and just knowing the ins and out of the offense, and then also just giving my maximum effort on defense.
Like you've really enjoyed being able to kind of take the ball to the rim and not just rely on being on the outside. How does this offense work in that way for you?
Our offense creates a lot of movement, a lot of space to maneuver throughout, the floor, and so it's easy for me to, just get downhill and, just make the right play.
That's Caleb Lewis, or Caleb Love, I should say, on those first 2 questions there.
How much fun are you having?
I'm having a lot of fun. I love being here. As soon as I stepped on campus, I've enjoyed every second, every moment. I'm just, grateful to be here. I'm grateful for, to have teammates like this and coaches that embrace me. As soon as I got down here, so I'm enjoying every moment. I'm going to continue to do that.
Have you guys had a feeling for what combination? You have so many options in the backcourt there. What kind of combinations work best? Who is the best deal for each other's after all this?
I think it really, it really doesn't matter who's in the lineup. We got guards and we got bigs that know how to play basketball and at a high level. So, we got a mixture of different types of guys that can do multiple things on the floor. So I just feel like we just play off each other and everything will work.
AJ, how's that process work for you? And especially now these 2 exhibitions here as opposed to over the summer.
I think it's just like what he said. We got a lot of guys that know how to play basketball. We're unselfish. I think it's hard for Coach Lloyd because you got 2 starting 5s. So I think it's good for our team. Because we're deep and we got depth. If the starting 5 is down, I know the second team's going to bring the energy, and then it's just going to carry on throughout the whole game and the whole team.
Is there such a thing as being too unselfish? Like you guys had a lot of assists today, but they also got a lot of steals. Yeah. So just maybe times where someone could have taken the shot or driven, but they're passing. Is it hard to get out of that mindset?
I think for sure, you have times where you're too unselfish, where guys have open shots that we should be taking, and Coach Lloyd has no problem with us taking it. I think we just gotta breathe a little bit more, slow down, and read what the defense is giving us. I think watching film and going into practice Wednesday, we're gonna clean it up a lot more and get ready for Monday.
Yeah, Caleb, do you feel like too the energy out there? I mean, almost too much at times, trying to force a pass or something like that?
Yeah, we just gotta make the easy play. We work on that every day in practice, and we harp on it. The coaches harp on making the easy play down the stretch, and so we was just a little too careless today. And we'll look at the film, and we're gonna get better for it because and get real next week. So we'll prepare for that, and we'll be good.
Yeah, how do you guys feel a week to go before the opener? Are you ready, overly ready, or is it frustrating? Has it taken this long, or you guys, or how is that?
No, I think we're enjoying the process. I think having these 2 exhibitions it's gonna really help us, find a lot about ourselves. And so, like I said, we're gonna watch the film. We're gonna, get better in practice, prepare, for Morgan State, and I think we all excited and eager to, start the season.
One more question. It was Grievous' first time playing in front of this crowd tonight. How do you think he played?
I think he played great. He's just getting his feet wet, and he's a really skilled big. Probably one of the most skilled bigs in the country at his age, and so. Like I said, he's getting his feet wet, and he's been great in practice, and I'm looking forward to seeing him during the season.
He's going to be a problem for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Caleb Love and KJ Lewis after the game last night, 94-65 win by the Arizona Wildcats. One of the things, J-Dub, that we talked about yesterday was in terms of the sophomore bigs and who maybe was going to be the sophomore big to step up into the rotation. The guy that I was kind of leaning on was Henry Vesar. That was before we found out that he dislocated his elbow. Apparently that happened in an off-the-court incident. Wait. What is going on with these off-the-court incidents? We had Henry Vesar in an off-the-court situation getting hurt. Obviously, it happened with Raymond Polito on the football team and getting into a bike accident. It's a tough world out there. I know that, but you got to be careful.
I just hope for the sake of the last maybe 2 years of news coverage that it wasn't pickleball related.
Oh gosh, let's hope not.
I mean, we have
because apparently that was the last thing that Matthew Perry was doing. Before he died over the weekend.
I didn't hear any news, but obviously Vesar is right in line there as far as his skill and his skill set and his obvious experience within the program. So tough news for him to go down. As we talked about, though, I mean, there's so much depth. I mean, you talk about a guy like Keyshawn Johnson. Even if the freshmen aren't in a position to maybe slide into those kind of roles, Keyshawn Johnson might only be 6'7", 6'8", but that guy can play center in a small ball rotation and a lineup, should I say. And beyond that, I mean, Paulius Morauskas, DK, we haven't even talked about him. He is about as ready to go, power forward, really strong body. So as far as bigs that they can move in there, you look towards the 3 7-footers they've got on the roster. Ballo, the preemptive starter, but you've also got Dylan Anderson. He's looked pretty good these last few games. I'm sure spot minutes, a lot of those guys can come in and find a role while Vesar is out. No timetable, right, for his return. But the amount of the number of guys they have on this team with length and size, DK, to slide into that spot. I mean, they've got the luxury of having the deepest front court bench that I've seen in the country.
So in terms of just the sophomores, Philip Borovichian last night, 14 minutes, scored 10 points, had 3 rebounds. And Dylan Anderson only played 9 minutes, scored 5 points, had 5 rebounds. I thought I walked away of my top takeaways. I walked away pretty impressed with what I saw from Dylan Anderson. I don't know if he's going to be, quote, an offensive threat. He looked good on the one shot he made, but I thought at the defensive end, he was very good around the basket, rebounded well, was physical in the rebounding game, and also was physical in defending at that end of the floor. So I could conceivably see him being a guy that is a guy you bring in maybe on a defensive set. I don't know offensively what he's going to give you, if he's as offensively skilled as like some of those other guys like you mentioned, like Paulius Morauskas and Motivius Krivas seem to be more offensively skilled than Dylan Anderson. But I did walk out of there last night impressed with what I saw from Dylan Anderson, who is one of those second-year guys. And if you listen to the broadcast, Matt Muehlbach was really impressed with Philip Borovichian and what he brought in his 14 minutes.
Both those guys are vastly improved. I think Dylan Anderson has definitely put some weight on. He looks like he can really, get in there and box out well, which is really what you would be asked for at that position. Borovichian, on the other hand, I've always liked his style of his game, but he's much more of a small forward in a power forward's body. His style of game is much more face-up, perimeter-oriented, and he's looking to maybe create off the dribble, find the open man. He's a very good, I wouldn't say very good passer. We haven't seen that, but he's got good vision. I will say that because I see him make the right reads. He's also a little 3-point happy, DK. So when you see him out there, he tends
Well, he
to...
won the 3-point contest.
No, I know that. But what I'm saying is, you're talking about who's going to replace Vasar as the backup center. That's the conversation we're having right now. Borovichinen might be 6'9", 6'10", 225, 230, but I think he's going to swing out a bit more to the perimeter. The one thing I will say about that, though, DK, the best set that they ran all night last night was 5 out. And they had 3 6'9" guys and a 7-footer on the court at the same time. So it wasn't like they were lacking size in the rotation. They ran a 5-out Warrior-style, NBA-style set, which just creates so much space for cutters. Once you figure out exactly where the defense is shifting to, there's so many options off of that. And it was must have been 7-8 passes. I think it was one of the highlights that we have in the package. But Borovichinen was a part of that. And I think when you have guys who are able to, I don't think he'll ever be a back-to-the-basket kind of guy. However, what he does have is size and the ability to score over the top of smaller players that he gets. There's a lot of shifting, a lot of rotating. There's a lot of mismatches that get created in modern basketball. And so at 6'9", he might be on the perimeter to start, but he might get switched out on a guard. He can easily finish over those type of guys. I like Phil Borovichinen's style of play, and I just think he's one of those guys where there's no question he's got skills. Can you translate that into winning basketball at this level and making winning plays in the biggest moments? Because, as you know, the schedule in the non-conference this year is going to be outrageously difficult. And then once you get into conference, there's some pretty good teams as well. So I like his style. I think both those guys definitely can slide into those roles. I just think that maybe Krivas would probably be the de facto center just because he's much more of a post type of guy. I think you're going to look at Phil Borovichinen maybe playing a little bit more 3 and a little small 4 than he will be center this year.
All right, the Arizona Wildcats men's basketball team played 16 players last night in their exhibition win. The women's basketball team will take the floor tomorrow night. They may only play 6. We'll get into that coming up. It's DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Westbound I-10 near Irvington, Palo Verde, a collision occurred there. Some pretty heavy backups on the westbound side of I-10 approaching and passing Valencia. Also, we've got reported and clearing eastbound I-10 near Prince, reported as a vehicle fire. Tangerine east of I-10 a crash, Tanca Verde and Catalina Highway. Also Cold Road in Irvington. And currently some backups for traffic on Cold Road south of Irvington. Crash there, possibly also road work as well, slowing you down. And we've got breezy conditions expected into this evening and clear overnight. 51 the low, 81 sunny tomorrow, and now 76. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by GeneratorFranchise.com. Millions protect their homes from power outages with Generac home standby generators. Would you like to be part of this lucrative industry? Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer, has limited franchise opportunities in your area. Learn more at GeneratorFranchise.com.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants, to polos and khakis, to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
This season, the Cats will take on the Bruins, the Ducks, the Trojans, the Beavers, the Utes, the Buffs, the Huskies, the Cougs, the Cardinal, the Bears, and the School up north on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hey Wildcats, it's homecoming week in Tucson. Join us for all the action Saturday as your Wildcats take on the UCLA Bruins. Make sure to wear white because we are going to white out Arizona Stadium. We will also recognize some Wildcat legends, so make sure to come out and see some of the best to ever wear the Wildcat uniform. Get your tickets today by calling the ticket office at 520-621-CATS or by visiting ArizonaWildcats.com/FB and bear down.
Join David Kelly for Bear Down Fridays at Illegal Pete's this Friday.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from its slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard
He
smash.
did the mash.
It was all in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash. From a laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast. The ghouls all came from their humble abodes to get a jolt from my electrode.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
They did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
They did the mash.
Hour number 2, DK on the Sports Tip. Happy Halloween to you. Be safe out there tonight. What are you wearing? That's what we want to know. Give us a call, 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. In fact, you can text us a picture of you in your costume to that number, 520-848-1290. Just beware that if you text us a picture, we may just show that picture on our live stream, on our live video stream. And we are video streaming the program, DK on the Sports Tip. We do so pretty much every day on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitch, and Twitter. You can see the program at any of those streams or any of those platforms. You can also listen to the show on our website, wildcatsradio1290.com. Download our app. Still working on the app. It's a little bit of a mess right now, but we'll have that up and looking nice for you. Website, though, is on point. We got the website looking like the way we want that. All kinds of awesome stuff on there. Full coverage of your Diamondbacks, full coverage of your Suns, Coyotes, Arizona Wildcats, Tucson Roadrunners. We got Cricket's going to be giving away tickets to the Roadrunners for this weekend's game. We'll start that tomorrow. So join us here tomorrow. We'll have Roadrunners tickets to see the Chicago Wolves coming into town this weekend. Somebody's in trouble. Somebody's in trouble. You know who's in trouble, J-Dub?
Is it a guy from West Virginia?
Yes. Kerr Kriisa is in trouble. The West Virginia guard who played here at Arizona has been suspended for 9 games after he admitted to accepting impermissible benefits during his time with the Wildcats. The university, or West Virginia University, announced this today. Kerr, of course, averaged 10 points, 5 rebounds last season for Tommy Lloyd in his second year. Maintained his commitment to West Virginia even after Bob Huggins resigned after the whole DUI mess. I'll read you the statement that was released today by West Virginia University. It says, quote, in late August 2023, West Virginia University learned of a potential eligibility concern for men's basketball transfer student-athlete Kerr Kriisa, who admitted to receiving impermissible benefits while enrolled at the University of Arizona. West Virginia worked cooperatively with the NCAA student-athlete reinstatement staff to reach an appropriate resolution. As a result of his actions, Kriisa will miss 9 2023-24 regular season games as part of his eligibility reinstatement. Kriisa will be able to continue to practice and travel with the team during his suspension from competition. He accepts responsibility for his actions at Arizona and looks forward to joining his Mountaineer teammates on the floor.
Now, he already missed 19 games of his college career, DK, for the same...
At the beginning. Well,
right, well, not the same thing, but
yeah,
because he'd already been paid to be a professional basketball player before he came here.
Right. So he missed a bunch of games.
19.
That first season. 19. Correct. Now, what I'm told is that this is all on Kerr. Okay? This really has nothing to do with the University of Arizona, per se.
Right.
It's more what Kerr did while he was a student athlete here at the University of Arizona.
I understand there's a little bit of an issue right now because NIL is so new.
Yeah.
And we really don't know. It's a Wild West situation out there.
It is.
They really don't have stipulations for international players and how that works relative to compensation from any kind of international source. Now, we don't have any facts on this story. Just broke today. I'm sure it'll come out when it's out, right? I mean, we don't have any speculation as to what the infraction was and what it is that he did. However, what we do know is that international players in the past have come up at odds with that NIL situation. And we know that he was suspended. That's why I mentioned 19 games for being a professional over, I think it was Estonia, right? In his home country where he played professionally. So again, I think when people see suspensions for impermissible benefits, they immediately assume that it's had something to do with the coaching staff and all of that. And so, and that's natural. And in the NIL world that we live in today, it could have just been you didn't fill out the right paperwork.
Yeah. Well, I'm hearing it had nothing to do with the coaching staff whatsoever. This is all on Kerr, from what I've been told. This is all on him and something that he did. So the question, though, obviously he was still a student athlete here. So what potential repercussions could there maybe be with the program? That remains to be seen. We'll have to kind of see how that plays out. Arizona is, unfortunately, right now under probation for 3 years as a result of everything that happened with the NCAA bribery scandal and the independent accountability resolution process. So they're on probation. How does the NCAA look at what happened in relation to Arizona's current probation? That part we don't really know. And as we do know with the NCAA, who knows how long it'll take for them to make a decision on that.
DK, sometimes the NCAA calls a certain pitch a ball, and sometimes the NCAA calls a certain pitch a strike. Let's just put it that way. It's very inconsistent.
Maybe they should dress up as umpires today.
Maybe. Did you see Kansas's ruling a couple weeks back? I mean, they got no repercussions.
It was bad. It was not anything at all.
No,
but again, that's kind of the way they've moved with all of these cases.
Yeah,
I mean, all of these cases have been moved to not really penalize the players and the coaches who are no longer at some of these schools, or the players in particular who had nothing to do with what happened during those times. That's kind of what this whole investigation that broke in 2017 has come to, involving Arizona, Auburn, South Carolina, Kansas, and I believe LSU also.
I got a question for you. Who is it that broke a million mirrors in West Virginia recently? Because the luck they've got out there for the Mountaineers is just crazy.
A million mirrors? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they lost their coach, right? Yeah. This thing with Kerr, Acott, have you heard about that? He had a bit of a health issue on the court. Last week.
I did see that.
Yeah, he's a 3-time transfer as well, I believe. But yeah, it just feels like what is that, Morgantown. Yeah, the news been coming out of Morgantown lately is not positive. It's all been kind of a gray cloud hanging over that city.
So their schedule is not as difficult at the front end as the Arizona Wildcats. So these first 9 games, they'll probably be able to get by pretty nicely without Caracrisa, and he'll be back just in time to begin play in the Big 12. So Caracrisa, former Arizona Wildcats guard, now at West Virginia University, suspended for 9 games today for accepting impermissible benefits during his time here with the Wildcats. 520-848-1290. You have an opinion at all on Kerr? 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. We have not gotten to our question of the day yet, and that's because I was on campus, and so I really haven't had a chance to put it up. So I'm going to ask you right now the question of the day. I'll make sure I get it up on the next break so that you can actually start voting on it. This will be a poll question over at our Twitter account, X account, Twitter, whatever, at Wildcats1290. Head on over there. We talked yesterday about Arizona football as it relates to what potentially they could be walking into in the Big 12, which this year it's essentially a wide open, a Big 12 conference, and how they might stack up. And about a week ago, I was looking at Arizona in comparison to the SEC, and they've obviously played one team in the SEC already and lost to Mississippi State. And I kept going down the list of SEC teams, and I was asking myself, well, how many of these teams do I think that Arizona could beat in the Southeastern Conference, which is considered to be the holy grail of college football? There are 14 teams in the Southeastern Conference, and I just started counting them down. How many of those 14 teams did I think Arizona could beat? So here's what we're going to do. That's going to be our question of the day today. How many college football teams in the SEC do you think the Arizona Wildcats could beat this season? Think about that. I'll get the question up. We can start the voting in about 5 minutes or so over at our Twitter page at Wildcats1290. But how many college football teams do you think in the SEC the Arizona Wildcats could beat? These are I'll name the 14 teams just so if you're not remembering who they all are. You've got Georgia, Missouri, Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, Texas A&M, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Arkansas State. And obviously the Wildcats played Mississippi State and lost in overtime. But how many of those 14 teams do you think Arizona legitimately would have a chance to win a game at in football? And we'll take your calls on that as well. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Dave Hickey, the athletics director at the University of Arizona, is going to join us later in this hour. Also, Wildcat Breakdown. In the 5 o'clock hour, we will talk to Glenn Howell and get his thoughts on the big win this past weekend. We will also, coming up later, in fact, I believe in our next segment, we'll hear from Tommy Lloyd and get his thoughts on last night's 94-65 win for the Arizona men's basketball team in their final exhibition game over New Mexico Highlands. A lot of turnovers, as we said. We'll hear what the head coach thought about what happened. Want to make sure we get you home, though, every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Tangerine east of I-10 travel blocked. Tangerine east of I-10 due to a collision involving a train. Tangerine closed east of I-10. Collision reported Kolb Road in Irvington. We're seeing some backups for traffic on Kolb Road to the north of Valencia. Also westbound I-10, some slowing near Alvernon due to an earlier collision. Also backups for travel headed westbound on Ahaway at Mission. Traffic westbound Grant westbound Speedway at I-10 also for slowing. Well, breezy into this evening and clear skies with 51 the low, sunny and 81 tomorrow and 75 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Get the best new deals when you shop Black Friday every day at Lowe's. Bring home a select DeWalt drill or impact driver or Cobalt 40-volt blower for just $99. Valid through 10/31 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
It's no contest, Tucson. You're listening to the home of the Arizona Wildcats. That's why 1290 runs this town. This is the one and only home of your Arizona Wildcats.
And you know this, man!
We are Wildcats Radio 1290.
License 240693.
Summer got hot.
Dangerously hot. And frankly, most mass-produced air conditioners couldn't handle our Arizona kind of hot.
Alaskan AC has partnered with a top manufacturer and created the Grizzly.
The Grizzly is an AC that is custom built for desert climates. We factored in the brutal heat, swirling dust, and blasting sand our weather brings us.
And made it stronger, more durable,
and cooler.
The Grizzly chews up all the other air conditioners.
And the only place you can get the Grizzly is Alaskan AC. Now that's cool.
That's Grizzly cool.
If you order one now, you'll be saving some cool cash. That's because the Grizzly has everything Arizona homes need and none of the stuff they don't.
While other ACs hibernate, the Grizzly stands up and roars cold, fresh air to every room.
We believe in customizing every system to fit your home. And now we've customized an air conditioner just for Arizona summers.
The Grizzly.
Only from AlaskanAC.com.
Hey, have you ever been ripped off? It sucks. Having a daily reminder of it is even worse. If you shave with a well-known big razor brand every morning, you might be thinking more about how much you paid for the blades than about how smooth your shave is. I'm Andy, the founder of Harry's. We give you a high-quality shave and an expertly engineered product for a fraction of the price that the big guys charge, with no compromises. They have 5 blades, Harry's has 5 blades. They have a lubricating strip, Harry's has a lubricating strip for extra glide. They have a trimmer blade, Harry's has a trimmer blade for the hard-to-reach areas. They charge up to $4 per blade. Our German-engineered blades cost as little as $2. Big brands charge higher prices because they can. Harry's keeps you in mind, focusing on high quality at a fair price. So stop rinsing cash down the drain every morning. Get a great shave for a fraction of the price with Harry's. Get a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/comfort. That's harrys.com/comfort.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. Have you been charged with a crime you didn't commit? It happens more than you think. When your liberty is on the line, you need an experienced attorney that will aggressively fight for you. Lerner & Rowe Law Group handles DUI and all other criminal charges. And with our affordable payment plans, it's easier than you think to get the defense you need. If the police made a mistake, call Lerner & Rowe today. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to take your call.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
This November, I'm grateful for the most thrilling casino action around.
Not to mention next level fun and unbeatable winning.
You got it.
Find it all at Desert Diamond Casinos.
And this month is all about the excitement.
You bet it is.
At Tucson, there are giveaways galore. Come out every Thursday for Road to Riches, where there are over $100,000 in prizes up for grabs. Plus, there's 10K Saturday, Diamond Sunday Bingo, and more.
I'm there.
At Sahuarita, there are more great events, plus incredible entertainment all month.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize y'all's neighborhood. And whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down must stand and face the hounds of hell and rot inside a corpse's shell.
You close your eyes and hope that
There's just not a voice right now in this generation that could match Vincent Price, the great Vincent Price.
The best.
I mean, you want to talk about sinister voice of a generation. That was Vincent Price. I don't think there's an actor out there that you could put in that category right now. Who is the sinister voice of right now? Tell me that.
Probably some politician, if we're honest.
Donald Trump?
I'm not naming names. I'm just saying there's some sinister voices out there. I just don't think they're actors anymore.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290. I want to know that. Who is the sinister voice of right now? I mean, we had Vincent Price. We had Bela Lugosi back in the day. He was frightening as Dracula.
Yeah.
Man.
The guy who was in the Lord of the Rings movies too, the guy who played the wizard, he was I'm blanking on his name. Christopher Lee. He was also a very, very good Halloween voice as well.
Interesting. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. We want to hear your Halloween memories today. Call us with that as well. A lot of memories. Some, I don't know. Were there any memories at the basketball game last night? There were some highlights, though. There were some highlights.
There were some scary memories for the coaching staff to look at for that first half and the 15 turnovers.
Yeah, not pretty. But let's give you some of the good of what happened at McHale Center on Monday night.
There's Love in the lane. Off to Keyshawn Johnson, who's drops in. That's just beautiful basketball.
No, it really is. When Caleb Love adds that dimension to his game where he's getting into the paint and making others around him better to go along with his scoring, he's super dangerous.
and stolen. Here's Boswell the other way. Leave it for Love, who slams it home nice and softly.
Beautiful no-look there by Boswell with the lob. Caleb Love being rewarded for running the floor. Once again, Arizona dynamic in the open floor.
Love, top of the circle, drives through the lane to the bucket, lay it in, and he's fouled.
Well, and that's why I think Caleb will be the guy, the leading scorer. You could kind of tell the rhythm there was off, kind of momentum going the Cowboys' way. Who takes over? Caleb Love just got to the top. Probably could have shot that, but saw a little opening, got right to the rim, and I think that's why he's such a great scorer. Can hit the three, but also can get to the rim and get to the line.
Here's Bradley around a high screen from Krivas. Leave it off for Lewis. KJ underneath to Boswell, who lays it in.
Beautiful find there by KJ Lewis on a cutting Boswell. Boswell felt that pressure on the wing, sets him up with the back door for the nice, easy layup.
Krivas guarding the baseline. He'll get it in left corner. Thomas has to throw it up, literally throw it up. Missed, no good. Rebound ahead to Borovic, and he'll slam it home.
Nice. Philip with the finesse dunk there on the breakaway.
That was like a nice friendly dunk right there. Didn't
So
try
nice.
to go too hard, you know.
He saw the opera in Belgrade a lot. Rauskas, right corner, Borovic, that's good for three.
Beautiful offense there by the Wildcats, going to their 5-around-0 motion offense, really working his side to side with a beautiful kick out for the corner three.
Yeah, maybe 5, 6, 7 passes.
Yeah.
Maybe their best possession of the night.
Yeah, came out of that timeout very focused.
Yep.
Wildcats here can dribble this thing out. A week from tonight, it gets started for real. Final score, Arizona 94, New Mexico Highlands 65.
I like those guys together. Brian Jeffries and Reggie Gary and Matt Muehlbach. They sound like they were having a good time last night.
They all like each other, you know. That's key. Yeah, I mean, there's just a wealth of knowledge, obviously. Matt, famous, Mr. Muehlbach, famous for never losing at McHale. I saw all those games, DK. I was there for all of those games. Really big fan of his. That was like my, high school years. And then obviously Reggie with his coaching experience and Brian, the voice of the Wildcats. I think anytime you can get guys who are part of the program, come from the program, been around the program, it just kind of comes through, right, in the broadcast.
He talked about, Matt talked about one of his 2 dunks in college.
I remember
Matt
that alley-oop.
Othick set him up.
I remember because they used to run a lot of back doors back in those days. They would run a back screen, and usually it would be a guard coming from the wing with a back screen to their man. And one time, I think it was just so unexpected at the time, but I do remember Matt Muehlbach getting up for that alley-oop from Matt Othick.
All right, let's hear from the head coach, Tommy Lloyd, get his thoughts on what he saw from his guys Monday night in the win over New Mexico Highlands. The head coach of your Arizona Wildcats, Tommy Lloyd.
Fire away.
Candy?
Most all of it. Yeah, I like almond joy.
I asked KJ before, is there such a thing as being too unselfish? You guys assisted on almost every basket, but also had 24 turnovers.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, we pride ourselves in being a team that shares the ball and plays the right way. And I just thought, I thought we actually played selfish in stretches today. And maybe a little bit careless combined with that. I mean, turning the ball over that much against a team, and listen, New Mexico Highlands, I think they're going to be a really good team in their conference, but we shouldn't be doing that. So I'm glad it happened because it's going to be a great teaching tool and, hopefully get our guys' attention a little bit.
How has it worked out having these two when your first couple years you had that closed exhibition?
Yeah, I mean, listen, hey, I got a responsibility to help the athletic department generate some revenue. And, obviously home games are pretty well attended here. And, I have a certain number of dates I got to hit. And just kind of the way our schedule broke this year, I kind of had to play 2 exhibitions. And, I love, scrimmage at a team like St. Mary's, but it just wasn't in the cards this year, unfortunately. And, but hey, we're at where we're at, and, the season starts on Monday. So, we got about another week to get ready for it. So, we got to get better.
An exhibition like this, do you say, okay, I want to see what these 5 on the court look like together, as opposed to waiting, for a regular season game, just in terms of rotation?
Listen, I'm trying to give guys opportunities. Obviously, as we get, closer to real games that count, we'll probably tighten up the rotation a little bit, and I'll kind of figure out what that looks like this week.
How many threes do you hope to shoot in game one?
I mean, listen, it's tough. Obviously less than we did today. But it's also hard. I mean, a lot of those shots are wide open, and I think they're probably packing it in defensively, and saying, "Hey, beat us from the 3-point line." And we have guys that can make a lot of them, and so we just got to find that fine balance. But if over 50% of our shots are three, I don't know how many times we've done that since I've been here, and that's definitely. I mean, I don't really have a formula, but if I did, that wouldn't be it.
Can you tell us about Henry's injury and?
Yeah, I mean, Henry just had an unfortunate accident off the court, and I think initially we thought it could be pretty bad, but I think we got the best case scenario. So I really think there's an opportunity Henry's back sooner rather than later.
Could Pella have played tonight, or are you just being careful?
Not quite yet. I mean, Pella's still working his way back into practice, and hopefully we'll figure that out here in the next couple of days.
A couple of messages saying Henry had a golf cart incident at the.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on any of the specifics of it, but it was kind of an unfortunate thing off the court, and luckily it turned out that I think it's going to be okay.
In a game like this, what do you hope to get out of it? And when you see the turnovers and you see all that, is that a good thing to work on that stuff? Or
listen, anything they give me, I'm going to get something out of it. So if good things happen, I'm going to get things out of it. If bad things happen, I'm going to get things out of it. I mean, I'm a teacher, and that's what a coach essentially is. So, I'm going to help our guys. And, our guys just got to understand, that there's a standard, of effort that we play with. I think we're getting closer to that, but there's also a standard of intelligence and fundamentals, that we demand. And, I don't think we met those today. And I know we've been practicing them. I know they've been emphasized, but you know what? I probably got to go back to the drawing board and emphasize them a little bit more.
And Caleb played obviously another very good game. Just kind of a smooth effort, just what you're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Caleb's playing really well. I think he had 4 turnovers. I think each of those starting guards had 4 turnovers, which is too high of a number. But I'm happy with Caleb overall. I think he's I'm getting a feel for coaching him in games a little bit, and I see there's some good effort on the defensive end, but I also see there's a little bit of room for growth, just in kind of how he finishes possessions, and we're definitely going to attack that this week.
With Umar and Krivas, how are they doing? How long have you had them back, by the way? And
they kind of started phasing into practice a couple days ago. I think maybe last practice was kind of the first time they were allowed to basically to do whatever, and and J-Rock does a good job. I mean, listen, it's a fine line. You gotta, as a trainer and as a coach, especially the trainer, making sure guys are not sitting out too much, but at the same point, you're getting them closer to 100% for when the lights are on and the games matter, and that's how he's handled them, and I think he's done a great job. So. I'm excited to get those 2 guys at full force, because I think they're a dynamic, duo and a great 1-2 punch.
When you get Pella back, I mean, he's, obviously he's been better for you off the bench, but does it seem like this is you maybe use him as a starter?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, first up, I have to see if he's available and where he's at. I mean, before we do anything like that. So I'm going to kind of let that play out, and then I'll. Then I'll make the decision, that I think is best for the team. I don't think there's really a wrong decision in this scenario, and we'll make sure we do a great job. With whoever doesn't start is going to play as much as the starters and be a significant contributor.
Morauskas seemed more comfortable tonight than he was the opener. What do you think about his play and how he's?
I mean, Morauskas is a talented player, and it's the classic, caught in between 2 positions a little bit. We started his development on the perimeter a lot this summer and fall, and then when guys started getting hurt, we kind of sort of had to slide him to the 4 a little bit, and our 1, 2, and 3, and our 4 and 5, our 1, 2, and 3 are kind of a trio, our 4 and 5 are kind of a duo, and so it's once when you make that jump from the 3 to the 4, there's a little bit of a learning curve. You're kind of learning a different way to play, and so I feel for him in that, and as a freshman, that's a lot, And yeah, but he did look more comfortable, and he's really a talented player. I mean, he can really score the ball, and he's got that scorer's mentality. Now he's just kind of start putting some of the other things together, and he has a chance to be a really good player here.
I know it's rare in this day and age, but are you thinking that anybody might redshirt this year, or Conrad, or anybody, because you are?
Yeah, there have been some conversations behind the scenes, and we'll work those out here this week. I think that's an important part of, continuity, and really building a program, not just a team. And we're a program. Arizona basketball is a program, and so yeah, I mean that's something that I value and really think creates a lot of advantages for players and for the program. So we'll sit down and talk about this week, and then hopefully figure it out before Monday.
You weren't here for when Azuolas was a freshman, but do you see any comparisons to what he did his first year to what Krivas could do as far as being involved?
I hope so. I think, when Zoo came in, I think, there was probably a little more sense of urgency for him to start and contribute. I don't obviously, Krivas with Umar here, does maybe have the same, but man, if you have those two guys and you can play them in 3-4 minute stretches where they can play extremely hard. I think that's going to be really effective, and so yeah, I think he's going to have a tremendous year, and I wouldn't be surprised. He scores the ball so easy that there might be some days he's close to your leading scorer. He's a good player.
One more. What have you seen from KJ Lewis, and how do you think he can contribute?
KJ's a good player. He's a good player. He's learning. It's fun watching him in these games because he just makes so many plays. There's also some mistakes he's making, and that's going to come with being a freshman and kind of fearless. So, I value that fearlessness. I love his character. I love his talent. And now with a little bit of experience, I think, he'll find the fine line between, where he should take risk and where he shouldn't. But I'm out to make sure as a coach I kind of temper, my ability to restrain him, because sometimes you do that and then, the player isn't as effective because his instincts are incredible. And, so I think with some experience, he's going to be a heck of a ball player, and I think he's going to really impact our team this year.
All right, that's the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Tommy Lloyd. Talked a little bit about Henry Visar's situation there, asked by Bruce Pascoe about an incident that may have happened involving a golf cart over the weekend. You may have seen on social media that the Wildcats were involved in an outing that was put on through their collective known as Arizona Assist. Had a golf outing this past weekend. A number of the players were seen in various pictures and media at that outing, and so it appears potentially, we don't know, obviously Coach Tommy Lloyd would not address whether or not that's where it happened. He did say that it was an off-the-court incident during the pregame show yesterday, but Bruce Pascoe, who we had on the show yesterday, asking specifically about that golf outing or a golf outing, that was the golf outing in terms of that Arizona Assist event that the players had been involved in over the weekend. So Henry Visar is going to be out for a while for your Arizona Wildcats. 520-848-1290, the number getting on the program. We're going to talk to the athletics director of the Wildcats, Dave Hickey, next. A lot going on. It's homecoming week here in Tucson. Right now, though, want to make sure we get you home. Traffic and weather on the fives with Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Tangerine, east of I-10. Travel closed Tangerine to the east of I-10 due to a collision involving a train. We've got Kolb near Irvington, a collision there, and some backups on Kolb Road south of Irvington. Westbound I-10 approaching Irvington Palo Verde for more slowdowns, and also backups for Ajo Way and Mission and southbound La Cholla at Ajo Way. Breezy into this evening, clear, and 51 the low, sunny, and 81 tomorrow. Now 75 and breezy. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
This report is sponsored by Boost Infinite.
Wildcats. Joining us, as he always does on Tuesdays, is Dave Hickey. And Dave, happy homecoming week.
Hey, great to be with you. Thanks.
Absolutely. Let's start off with a number of things happening. Is this one of the busiest weeks for your department, homecoming week? Let's start there.
Well, yeah, it's certainly one of our busiest weeks with all the activities going on. We're also, launching a huge fundraising effort, kind of the public phase of our Fuel Wonder campaign for the entire university. So that'll be going on. We've got our Hall of Fame weekend. We've got the game, all the activities that go on around campus, all the reunions, all of the, welcome back events to all of the different colleges and departments, and then certainly all the, the activities at fraternities and sororities, and just it's a great week here. And certainly as it heads toward the weekend, it gets really, really busy.
You mentioned, obviously, the Hall of Fame event. We mentioned that once before when the inductees were announced. That is going to be this Friday night up at the Westin La Paloma. Is that an event generally that's open to the public, or is that just kind of a private event mostly for the inductees and their families?
Nope, it's always open for the public, and we've got well over 300 people. That's our capacity now. We've sold the event out, so there's no more tickets available this year. But each and every year, it's open to the public, and we always have a large group up there. And so, great opportunity to hear the stories and how meaningful it was for these student athletes and administrators, those connected to our program, what it's meant to them to be an Arizona Wildcat.
What are some of the things? Is it just that event? Are there other events that are involved for those inductees around the weekend in terms of what they've done here?
Yeah, we have them come back. We have planned activities for them, certainly on Friday evening, and then Saturday at the game we have a pregame tailgater where we kind of combine that with our letter winners, and we've got well over 500 letter winners that are coming back for their annual kind of tailgater and reunions. So we incorporate that together. We hand out our alumni awards, so they're part of that as well. But and then we obviously honor them on the field, our Hall of Fame class in front of the crowd and at the football game. So it's a nice weekend. Generally, people come in Thursday night and bring a lot of family members and really close friends, and they have opportunities to be together and again spend some time on campus. Many of them have not been back for many years.
Yeah, and you mentioned the alumni awards. Is that something that's just around homecoming, or is that something you guys do whenever you have alums back?
No, we have a very signature event with our letter winners, and we give out a series of awards that recognize some of the key people. We give out an honorary letter winner award to someone who may not have graduated from here but has had a significant impact on our program and been a part of our program. And we honor some of our great administrators and former coaches and those types of things. So we always do that right around homecoming each year.
We're joined by Dave Hickey, the athletics director at the University of Arizona. Wildcats will take on the UCLA Bruins. That's going to be Saturday night at Arizona Stadium. Kickoff coming up at 7:30, coming off a big win against Oregon State. What did you like about what you saw out there last Saturday night, Dave?
Well, there was a lot to like. I thought it was a heck of a football game. I think if you really step back and you were just watching that game, it was a big-time very physical battle, great, football game. There were, some turnovers. There were some great plays. We bounced back when we got behind, but two really good football teams. So it was a good football game. Glad we came out on the right side of that, and I thought our guys rallied and really played well across the board. So it was a big step. We talk about these opportunities to continue to grow the program and make statements. I thought it was a night that felt like it could be one of those. Now you've got to go out and execute and make it happen, and our program did that. I'm incredibly proud of our coaches and happy for them. I'm really proud of our players and happy for them when you see the smiles on their faces, when you see the excitement after the game, when you see our fans rush the field. Those are great moments. Those are really, really fun moments for our fan base, but for our student athletes and for those that are connected in the program. I don't think many times people understand the amount of hours, time, energy that it takes, the commitment by families. There's a lot in this, and people work incredibly hard, And when you have great nights like that, you've got to celebrate them.
You know, we were talking about alumni just a few minutes ago, David, and one of the fine Wildcat alums, Delaney Schnell, has a chance to become U of A's 5th NCAA Woman of the Year. A lot of people don't really know that that the university is tied for the most NCAA Women of the Year with Georgia. What does that go into? What goes into a young lady in this program having a chance to be honored in that way?
Well, to be a Woman of the Year is the single highest award that a student athlete can receive in college athletics, and combines it's the full gamut of being a student athlete. They have to be an incredibly high level, high performing athlete. At the same time, they've got to be very successful and academically, and doing all the things academically, carrying a high grade point average, and be involved in service and a lot of other activities. It's a fully well-rounded award, and it really is it's a signature award for those that are amongst the very best of college athletics, and really proud of this program that is a kind of a part of our culture. Our female student athletes look up to those women who have done that before. It's something that we aspire to have more of them, and Delaney, in my opinion, should be one of the finalists for that for sure as we roll into these last few weeks of determining who's going to win the awards.
Athletic Director Dave Hickey joining us as he does every Tuesday. And since we last talked to you, Dave, there was the announcement of the partnership between Adia Barnes and the Boys and Girls Clubs here in Southern Arizona. Nike, a big part of that, as Adia has been a part of that think tank with them. And she has decided that she wants to try to partner with the Boys and Girls Clubs to create a leadership program for young women here in Tucson. What is special about that partnership between Adia and the Boys and Girls Club?
Well, like so many of our coaches, aligning themselves with very community-minded, community-serving groups in the Tucson area, in Southern Arizona. It's a big part of what our coaches want to do, and they want to be a part of our community. And so, the opportunity for Adia and the Boys and Girls Clubs to partner, to develop programming, for Adia to be a visual symbol and a spokesperson for the Boys and Girls Clubs, and attract more energy and enthusiasm around those are all important pieces of it. At the same time, it embeds our program in our community, our athletic program, but in this case, our women's basketball program for sure. Allows our student athletes to have opportunities to be engaged with the Boys and Girls Club. So win-win across the board. I really look at it as part of our responsibility as an athletic program here, and being part of the community. We should be engaged and involved in community service and community awareness, and really giving back to making this a better place for all of us to be.
And what are some of the stories, I guess, you've heard from maybe, Dave, some of the athletes about, maybe they'd never done community service before, and then they get out there and they get involved in it, and they were like, wow, it really affected the way that they look at what it means to be service-oriented?
Well, I think that's a big step in the growth of our student athletes, and we certainly want them to be great athletically. We want them to aspire to be great academically, but we want them to grow as humans and people. And part of that is being part of a community, understanding what that means, understanding how to support your community, how to give back, how service is a big part of that, so that when you leave, you've started to get that feeling, and you've been trained to a certain degree that it's our responsibility to give back and to be contributing members of the communities that we choose to live in as we grow and go through life. I think it's a big step. And you're right. I think sometimes there's a little bit of a fear factor. I think when we think back when we were young, maybe it wasn't the top of our priority list. We didn't really know how to do it. So once you break that barrier, though, and you see the impacts that you can make on young people, on elderly folks, in schools, being in community projects that might help, clean things up, plant trees, any way we can better the community. It opens the eyes of those student athletes. They see the impact they make, and it becomes an enjoyable activity, a very meaningful activity, And so I think that's terrific for our student athletes to be in that, to be put in those positions to continue to grow.
U of A Athletics Director Dave Hickey is our guest. Dave, Brett Yormark, the the commissioner of the Big 12, made some comments recently about kind of the road to bringing in the 4 new teams that are going to be coming over from the Pac-12. He talked a little bit about scheduling and revealed that at least on the basketball side, there's going to be 20 games conference-wise and 18 games conference-wise on the women's side, 20 games on the men's side. Is that a good feeling? Do you guys like kind of the way that shook out in the meetings leading up to how that was all taken care of?
I do. I think we're on the right track for basketball. We've got some more work to do to kind of pull it all together, close a few loops, really make sure that the travel distances and the way it lays out, that'll be kind of the real science in it to make sure that the schedule works. But I like where we're headed on that side, and certainly on the football side, I think there's quite a bit of chatter today about it coming out really soon. Over our next several years, we'll be releasing the schedules for football. So I like where that is headed. It gives us a chance to stay somewhat regional, play regional teams, in the Mountain District here, not going across the country multiple times. So I think it'll be really good for our fans. It'll be good for our student athletes. I like where we're headed with it. It'll have a chance to, grow grow our footprint, to be a little bit more nationwide, grow exposure, be playing in some different time zones. That's going to be good for our program and for the entire Big 12.
Dave, we had a caller who wanted to know if you got the power to change the time of Saturday's game if there's Game 7 of the World Series.
Wish I could do that. We'll keep people informed. I think you need to be in the stadium. We really hope that we can fill the house. Again, I've talked about this. The next step for this program, I think Jed, his staff, the players have shown that this is a really competitive and now a winning program. We can play in big games and be right in them. We need our fan base. We need to make this the hardest place to play. We need to sell the stadium out. There's no reason to sit on the sidelines anymore. You need to be in the stadium. We all need to be all in all the time supporting this football program like we do so many of our programs here, and makes a huge difference. So kick it off Friday night. Get out to the Bear Down Friday event down in University District, and then head on over to the real traditional bonfire and the crowning of the King and Queen. It's a great night.
That's right. I forgot about the bonfire coming up as well. Will you be there for that event? Do you get too close to the fire? That's right. You're going to be up at Hall of Fame. You're going to be up at Hall of Fame.
Going to try to maybe do it, but I think we're going to be obligated at Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I love it. It's one of the great traditions, and it's not, boys, for anybody who hasn't been there yet, it is a real traditional, real live bonfire where the flames are going way up in the air. I love it, the way we do it, and it's one of the great traditions of homecoming in this week.
Well, maybe I'll take, after we get done over at Bear Down Friday, I'll take your spot and go over to the bonfire.
Sounds good. Love it.
Dave, hey, appreciate you as always. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Bear Down, go Cats.
Dave Hickey, the athletics director of the University of Arizona, coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. We'll talk some football with the one and only Glenn Howe. It's DKL the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Collisions clearing Cold Road in Irvington with slowdowns both directions on Cold near Irvington. Also still slowdowns for both directions of I-10 near Irvington, Palo Verde, Ajo and Mission, westbound and southbound traffic, southbound La Cholla at Ajo, heavy backups there. Also slowing westbound Irvington and westbound Valencia at I-19, and collisions, Valencia near Headley, golf links west of Kolb, 22nd Street and 4th Avenue. Tangerine east of I-10 closed due to a collision involving a train. Breezy conditions into this evening and clear skies, 51 the low, sunny and 81 tomorrow and 75 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by the Arizona Department of Gaming.
keep control. I remember doing the time drinking those moments where the blackness within me and the voice would be calling. Let's do the time warp again. Let's do the time warp again. It's just a jump to the left and then a step to the right. Put your hands on your hips and pull your knees in tight.
That's jazzy right there. That's funky Broadway sounded right there. Remix. That was funky right there. Happy Halloween to you. Starting to get dark out there. The goblins and ghouls will be coming out before we know it with their bags and their masks. But don't forget to be home for the big giveaway at 9.
Yeah, don't forget your masks. Maybe you could take over.
Do you have a good evil laugh?
No, but maybe you could take over for Vincent Price.
Darkness falls across the land. Where's that from, by the way, that tune?
That tune, I have no idea.
No?
It's one that won't get us in trouble with the algorithms.
The algorithms, okay. I think, I don't know if, I got to confirm this, but I think we're supposed to be writing all this music down. Because I think there's a report that I'm supposed to be filling out that I don't think I've been filling out on music that we use on the show.
One time I asked the guy who would know better than anybody in this building, and he said you could play whatever.
Okay.
So.
All right. As long as you say that that's the case, then that I'm down with that.
No lawyers have knocked on my door as of yet. So.
All right. Couple things I want to get to real quick before we get to football here. I've got a statement. I told you that I was reaching out to Comcast, Xfinity Comcast, who don't have a deal with the Phoenix Suns. Well, they have sent me a statement, so I'm going to read that to you here momentarily. A couple things I want to play. You can hear these also if you go over to my Twitter page, which is at DavidKelly1290. I mentioned that Arizona women's basketball, they're dealing with limited numbers this year. They only have 11 on their roster, and one of those 11 is a player who's out for the season. And so Dia Barnes doesn't have a lot of bodies over there. In fact, she said today they'll play tomorrow, and we'll get more into this tomorrow. You'll hear her comments in full tomorrow as we get you set for Arizona men's basketball on Point Loma, their second exhibition game. She said today that they may only have 6 players available for tomorrow's exhibition game. 6 players.
It's crazy.
That is absolutely nuts. This is an exhibition game, but you got real games starting on Monday. They've got to go to the Caribbean in 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks, and play 3 games, 3 games in 3 days.
Right, 3 games in 3 days with 6 players.
With what might be, it's already a limited roster, and now if you take injuries into effect, Courtney Blakely is out currently. Brea Cunningham is out. We mentioned that they have one player, that's Montea Dew, who is out for the season. And now we were told today that Helena Puello has got a minor injury. And it's the type of injury where if this was a regular season game, she would play. But it's not a regular season game. It's an exhibition game. So why are you going to throw her out there if she's dealing with a slight injury and you could make it worse? So she's not going to play tomorrow.
I found it interesting, Coach Barnes, the juxtaposition of her talking about how she didn't want to do a 15-player roster again because there was just too many egos and it was too much to handle. So going from that to 6 or 7, it's a little bit of an extremes, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna play this here. We'll just play the audio of this. Because I asked her today, because the one thing you'll notice about the Arizona women's basketball roster is they don't have any walk-ons. And I asked her about that today. I'm playing this from my other screen here, J-Dub, so hopefully this plays.
Typically don't have walk-ons. I think it's really hard to have walk-ons. I think for women's basketball is very different. I think if I know, like in a couple of years ago, Lindsay was awesome for us. If you have a connection, you know someone, maybe they were from a really good AAU program and there's some kind of connection, I'm okay with that. But otherwise, I don't really know them. So the players that we recruit, we usually have a process. Like I've recruited Brea, Maya, those kids from 8th grade. So you know their family, you know what you're bringing in your locker room. I think if you just have another walk-on, you don't know them. And you don't know, you can do a 2-week tryout, which is good. And we might actually do that this year because we might need to. But I never want to be in a situation where I have to. And for me, the other difficult thing is everybody expects to play. And it's shocking. And you guys are like, oh, I think it's really rare, at least for women's basketball, that even a walk-on they want to play. And I think what sometimes gets forgotten is there's players and scholarship kids that don't always have opportunity to play. So it's normal that you're going to play probably scholarship kids before, and then there isn't enough minutes. So I remember a couple of years ago with some walk-ons, the expectation was to play. And, you know, we weren't playing some of the scholarship kids that would have the opportunity to play first. So I think it's really hard. I think it's hard to have a role as a female athlete to just practice and cheer and maybe not travel all the time and then maybe not play. And it's interesting to me because I would think it'd be easy to fill that role, and I would add walk-ons. But from my experience, I've had meetings, and it's like they want to play, which I understand, but that's not the role that we need. So typically, if it was a walk-on situation, it's going to be a really good, student athlete, a really good teammate, someone with great body language, great attitude, energetic, and probably won't have a whole lot of opportunity to play. May have some opportunity to practice, but may not sometimes. And I think that's hard to ask someone given the time commitment.
That blows my mind, J-Dub, because you look at the men's team, and the men's team has always had a number of walk-ons.
Yeah.
And a number of local kids.
Some famous walk-ons, too.
Yes, exactly. Some famous walk-ons. But they've also had a number of local kids in that role that have played it. Catalina, like Wilmina right now from Catalina Foothills, was on the state championship team there. You've got Garrett Whiteman, who was on the state championship team at South Point Catholic. And it just doesn't seem that same thing translates to the women's side. Like you would think to yourself, why are there no girls basketball players from here in Tucson that are walk-ons for this program? You could at least fill out your bench. You would have players to practice against. And then in a game, in an exhibition game like this, where you might go in there with 6 players, you're going to probably win by 30. You could throw one of your walk-ons out there, play 7 or 10 minutes, and save that time from your starters. But apparently it just does not work that way on the women's side of the game, which is kind of interesting to me, and we'll talk more about this as the season goes along. We'll get Kim Doss and PJ Brown, who cover the team. We'll have them on and get their thoughts on this as well. But that I thought that was kind of interesting.
I feel like after the last Final Four, DK, that women's college basketball's popularity is at an all-time high.
Right.
And there's a lot of unbelievable players on the landscape right now. That being said, I think you think about the Josh Pastners of the world. A lot of players walk on to a major university not for playing time, but to learn how to coach, because they know that in the future there is a potential, 6-figure job out there if you can learn from a Lute Olson type of person, as Josh did. So I don't know what the situation is. It was interesting to hear Coach Barnes talk about how they have so many men come and join, and I understand it's a very common thing. But I don't know. I think that if there's the different levels of play available for a young woman coming out of high school, the idea there, DK, is to play.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to go to a school that either has playing time or that you could envision after maybe a year of sitting behind somebody or some of the upperclassmen that there's a opportunity there. And I think the situation this year is just so unique because of how many transfers, right? And just the way the portal has opened up these last 3 years, more so than ever before. NIL has a lot to do with that as well. I think you're right. I mean, in my mind, why wouldn't you want, if you're a local athlete, to be able to sign up as a walk-on, preferred walk-on even, to play and help prepare a top 25 level team to take on some of those other teams. And that being said, maybe the decision making is just as simple as I'm going to go somewhere that I can get minutes myself.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get more into that tomorrow. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. If you're a coach out there, if you coach girls basketball, kind of what you're hearing. And I think one of the other things I heard today was that, again, it goes back to the reason why Adia started this leadership academy is that a lot of young women just don't continue to play. Like they play to a certain level and then that's it. They don't want to go and take that next level into again, they play, some just play for fun. They don't want to be in a situation where they have to take it serious like it's taken at the college level. It's very interesting to see the differences there in men's basketball and women's basketball. All right, we are rejoined by Cricket.
Hello.
Cricket. All right, so we've been talking a lot about my favorite Halloween movie, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Yeah, this was from that. So Connell Cochran, the evil scientist. He had the good guy locked up in a room, and the good guy wanted to find out why he was doing what he was doing.
Okay.
And so here's what we're gonna play this here. What Connell Cochran had to say.
And don't forget to watch the big giveaway afterwards. Why, Cochran? Why? Do I need a reason? Mr. Kupfer was right, you know. I do love a good joke, and this is the best ever. A joke on the children. But there's a better reason. You don't really know much about Halloween. You thought no further than the strange custom of having your children wear masks and go out begging for candy. It was the start of the year in our old Celtic lands, and we'd be waiting in our houses of wattles and clay. The barriers would be down, you see, between the real and the unreal. And the dead might be looking in to sit by our fires of turf. Halloween. The festival of Samhain. The last great one took place 3,000 years ago when the hills ran red with the blood of animals and children. Sacrifices are part of our world, our craft. Witchcraft. To us, it was a way of controlling our environment. It's not so different now. It's time again. In the end, we don't decide these things, you know. The planets do.
Oh, it's all about the planets.
Witches.
They're in alignment. And it's time again. The world's going to change tonight, Doctor. I'm glad you'll be able to watch it.
Oh.
And happy Halloween.
I mean, that guy right there is evil.
He definitely, yes.
He played, that's Dan, I think his name is Dan O'Hurley. I think he passed away a couple years ago. But a brilliant performance. People panned this movie, but I loved it.
That's your favorite?
It's my favorite.
Have you seen Rosemary's Baby?
Oh, yes.
I saw that for the first time this weekend.
Really?
I'd never seen that before.
You've never seen Rosemary's Baby?
No.
I haven't seen that in years. Like, I remember that was one of those movies when I was growing up that just like the Stepford Wives.
That was pretty cool. I was surprised how good that was.
Yeah.
And it's older than I am.
Yeah. I mean, that
70s,
Rosemary's Baby, that's from the 70s. So, yeah. So Connell Cochran, the evil, and so the guy that he had tied up, he escaped. He was able to cut himself loose from that
Well, don't
from that
spoil
thing.
it for Cricket.
Well, okay. I mean, I
Yeah,
already told her
true.
what happened, right? I already gave you the ending yesterday. So
Yes, true. But
you can still go back and watch it. It's still pretty impressive.
I'm still interested.
All right.
Yeah.
So I want you to go. I don't know if you can rent that, but it might be on tonight. I was looking to see if I could find out what time it's on tonight, but I haven't seem to be able to find it.
We only watch Disney level scary movies at my house. Not for me, but yeah, because Paige doesn't like this jump scares and stuff. So it's all,
right.
it's like
my
hocus
wife
pocus.
does not like scary movies either, so we don't do that at my house either. All right, Cricket, tell the folks how to make sure they get around the trick-or-treaters while they're getting home today.
All right. From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. We've got some backups westbound Speedway at I-10, also westbound Irvington, westbound Valencia at I-19. Ajo and Mission busy for westbound and southbound traffic, and also southbound La Cholla at Ajo Way. Reported collisions westbound I-10 near Ruth Roth, Valencia near Headley. Golf links west of Kolb, 22nd and 4th Avenue. Kolb Road at Irvington, and also Tangerine east of I-10 is closed. Breezy this evening, clear, and 51 the low, sunny 81 tomorrow, and 74 now.
And Cricket. Happy Halloween.
And I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Mucinex.
team in the country, the Oregon State Beavers. Joined as always on Tuesdays in our Arizona Insider segment by Glenn Howe, U of A football class of 1985. In the tape, what were your top takeaways from the big Wildcat win?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really impressed in 2 games in a row that Jetfish has outdone himself as by the play call. I thought he did a great job again of this game against Oregon State. We methodically took apart that defense they had, and then on the other side of the ball, I think Johnny Nansen is on a roll. They're just playing some really good defense, aggressive defense, playing just great up front, and I'm excited about what our guys are doing on both sides of the ball.
Well, let's start with the offensive side of the ball, and in particular, these running backs. And we've talked about this group all season long. And, I started kind of thinking back to what it reminds me most of. And I had to go back to my original teams here at the University of Arizona when I got here in 2008. Kind of a lightning and thunder type situation back in those days when we had Keola Antolin and Nick Grigsby along with Greg Nwoko, who was kind of the big bruising runner. That's what this group kind of reminds me of. You've got DJ Williams, who's just inviting contact and pounding people. Then you've got the speed elements that are brought between the 3 other guys, Michael Wiley and Jonah Coleman and Speedy Luke. I mean, it kind of harkens back to that group in the Nick Foles era.
Well, I would call that thunder and thunder. We've got thunder, and lightning. And then you could throw thunder, lightning, because those guys can still run. They're quick. They're fast. DJ's fast. And, from my understanding, they're saying that DJ's one of the fastest of them all.
Yeah.
As far as the speed wise, and these guys are just bruisers. I mean, they're playing great football, hitting the holes and getting north and south. That's what offensive linemen love when they see that, when no one's dancing and they're just getting north and south. It just incentivizes you when you get to the line of scrimmage as an offensive lineman that you're going to fight for those guys.
Well, and you got to just love the way, there's nothing better than when a team can kind of salt away a game running the football, and that's absolutely what this Wildcats team did on Saturday night on those final 2 drives, handed the rock to Jonah Coleman and DJ Williams and really just kind of taking control of that game on the ground. That's absolutely what you love to see down the stretch from a football team.
I think Jonathan Smith on the other side thought he was looking at a mirror, because that's exactly what Oregon State, that's their game plan. It's just at the end, they're just going to grind you down and just run the ball at you, because they run for 195 yards a game. That's their average. So, anything below that is just unbelievable, but their average is 195, and we were just grinding the ball on them. And it's just, you could see on the television, I watched the 4th quarter on the television, and you could see that the face of Jonathan Smith was just like, man, they're just like burning the clock, and they're just running it down our throats, man.
No question about that. Glenn Howe joining us on our Arizona Insider segment, brought to you by Coors Light. Coors Light is an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there's nothing like game day at Arizona. And when you look, really, I thought in terms of the pass game, and I want to start down front with the offensive line, because one of the things that stood out to me was some struggles that Jonah Savianaya had. Still young, still a sophomore, having a good season, man, but they got him, Glenn, several times on spin moves to contribute to the 4 sacks that Noah Fafita took in that game. So obviously that's something that he's going to have to shore up, how to battle those defensive ends down there that can spin with speed and get to the inside of him.
Yeah, and those will get cleaned up. He'll watch the film and get that cleaned up for this week, because this next week against UCLA, they got some serious pass rushers on the inside and on the outside that are going to be able to do those kinds of things. And I'm sure he'll shore that up. But, like the other guys, the other plays that he's played, I mean, these guys on the front line have just been playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And what I love is that both defensive line and the offensive line are playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage, which is great. That means that they're moving people out and they're also beating guys on the other side. And my game ball on the offensive side is I'm giving my game ball to the offensive line. They've just been doing a great job of just running the ball, protecting Fafita when we needed him, when we needed to be protected, and making those passes, and just doing a great job.
Well, again, Glenn Howe going into my budget, giving out multiple game balls to everybody on the offensive line. I see your point there. I couldn't give a game ball to Jonah just because of Savinai, just because he gave up the 2 sacks, so he kind of fell off my list there. Didn't think it was necessarily his best game, but I'm giving mine to one guy on the offensive line who I thought stood out, and that was Wendell Moe, really doing an outstanding job on a lot of those pulling plays, and really this offensive line as a whole. When you talk about getting out in space and blocking in space on some of those exterior run plays and pass plays, that's been a strength of this team, and I thought Wendell did an outstanding job of that in this particular game, of getting out on the edge, finding somebody to hit. And we talked about that last week, how when you get out there, you can't just get out there. You got to get out there and find somebody to put your hat on. And I thought Wendell Moe did that pretty much every time he got out on the outside.
Yeah, Wendell Moe's playing great ball. And, this offensive line, I can't say enough about him. Kudos to Brendan Carroll for what he's developed in the continuity of that offensive line, of how they're playing together. It's just like, I think they're one of the top 3 lines in the conference. You got Oregon, you got Washington State, and I think you got University of Arizona. Utah's been struggling. Those guys have been struggling, but U of A is really, I think they're in the top, at least for sure, the top 4 in the league. And that offensive line, because they've just been playing so well, and I'm really proud of those guys. And they're not nice guys either, too. That's what I like. I can see when I'm on the sideline and I'm watching these guys, they're really, really physical, and which is really what an offensive line needs to be.
And you brought up Brennan Carroll. I had a chance to ask Brennan Carroll today in his the coordinator's press conference about the play of Wendell Moe and his offensive line.
He's been really consistent. He has great practice habits, and and it showed up on the field. He's really, really consistent, one of our most consistent guys, and he plays with a physical edge, so it's great having him out there.
Wildcat Breakdown, joined by Glenn Howe, as always. U of A football class of 1985. And Glenn, let's turn our attention now to the defensive side of the ball for the Arizona Wildcats. And I think the one thing in this was interesting, because I didn't necessarily think there was one standout on defense in this game. There wasn't one guy that kind of jumped off the page. The Wildcats had the 1 sack by Taylor Upshaw, only 3 tackles for loss. Those were low numbers on the defensive front for this team in the ball game. You had Takario Davis, who had the 3 pass breakups, all of which could have potentially been interceptions. So obviously, great job getting himself in position to make those plays and get those deflections. But for me, you gotta maybe get 1 or 2 of those picks to really stand out efficiently for me in a ball game. But just overall, I think just as a unit, the 11 guys again played solid defense, although there necessarily, in my mind, wasn't one guy that stood out Saturday night.
No, I think that our defense played well together. They made plays when they had to make plays. I think they did a great job of running to the football. That was just. These guys are playing just with the ability to put 11 hats on the ball, which I'm really, really excited about how they did that. is that they just kept on running to the football. Everybody's there. Everybody wants to get a piece of it. You know, there's a little pie out there, and everybody wants a piece of that pie. And these guys are just really just aggressive running to the football. And that's going to be, and good things are going to come out of that, about everybody being around the football. And that's what they've been doing the last couple of games.
Well, and a guy on the back end, the Gunnar Maldonado, he's kind of been a polarizing, somewhat defensive player. There's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily think that Gunnar has played that well, but he seems to be a guy that's around the football when you need to have a guy to finish plays. 10 tackles in this ball game, and I think that's just kind of been the staple of what he is. He's aggressive to the football when you need that guy to kind of aggressive, be aggressive, but he also can be that guy on the back end that kind of surveys everything and makes sure that this defense is not getting beat over the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that play that they beat us deep, I think that's the first deep ball all season.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody. I was trying to think about all the games that I don't remember us getting beat deep. That's the first time we've gotten beaten deep. And for us to say that at the University of Arizona, that's pretty doggone good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely amazing of how good, and it's indicative of how our defensive backs have been playing, and then also how the underneath guys, the guys that are putting pressure on the quarterback, not giving them enough time to do that.
Well, and they just cover. I mean, I go back and I watch a lot of these plays, and I say to myself, man, they're just back there covering. They're covering guys. They're not allowing, even though they don't. There's times, obviously, they're going to give up pass plays. You're going to do that in any given game. But when it matters most, they just cover up on the backside and really don't give these quarterbacks. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of great quarterbacks in this league. They just haven't given these quarterbacks a lot of options to throw the football on them.
Absolutely, and and it's just their technique. They're disciplined on their technique, and they're just really just getting in these receivers. I mean, just getting in their chili, man. I mean, really, they're just really getting in their chili. They're defending them. They're harassing them. They're doing everything that they can. And you look at how many pass interferences we have. We don't have that many.
No.
We really don't have that many. And that's just great defense, and they're getting great coaching. Our defensive back coaches have been doing a great job. Dwayne Akina and Coach Richardson have been doing a great job of just getting these guys prepared for playing Pac-12 football, one of the best passing Pac-12 conference. I mean, one of the best passing conferences in the country. So if you look at all the guys that are in there, look at the quarterbacks that we have faced. That we have. The only one we haven't faced was Bo Nix, and we won't face him unless we get to the Pac-12 championship. Okay, so if those are the kind of things that I think that our guys are just doing a great job against some great quarterbacks.
Oh boy, you just mentioned Pac-12 championship. I might actually have to.
Yep.
I might have to actually get out the tiebreakers and start looking at that to see if what the potential, what has to happen for the Wildcats to put themselves in a situation to qualify for the Pac-12 championship game. It is Wildcat Breakdown, our Arizona Insider segment with Glenn Howe. We're going to get a break in here. We're going to come back. We'll pass out some more game balls from this 27-24 win over the Oregon State Beavers. But we want to make sure we get you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Reported collisions, Cortero at I-10, La Cañada and Lambert Lane. Westbound I-10 near Ruthrop. Tangerine east of I-10, travel closed due to a crash. Seeing some backup slowdowns, Ajo and Mission for westbound and southbound traffic. Southbound La Choya at Ajo Way, more slowing. Also busy westbound Valencia at I-19. 50, clear. Our overnight low, breezy into this evening, sunny and 81 tomorrow, and now 74. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Boost Infinite.
Hey, if you're thinking of getting the latest iPhone, you need to stop and check out the wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station's network.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ryder works on top of the world, but his roofing business has hit new lows. Because when people search for roofer near me, Ryder's Roofing doesn't appear on the map, which means Ryder's Roofing is not on the map.
Cumulus Boost can help by managing Ryder's online listings.
Every Tuesday with my man Glenn Howe, UA football class of 1985. All right, I said that I couldn't really find a one guy, Glenn, that stood out for me on defense in this game. But I am going to give out a defensive game ball, as I like to give out at least one. And so I'm going to go with the guy that I stated earlier. I'm going to give mine to Gunnar Maldonado, who had 10 tackles and really was the guy that made the tackle on the fake field goal, and that was a huge play in this ball game on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gunnar was my guy too, because Gunnar was filling the hole on the run offense as much as they had. Oregon State is. I mean, you got to have that guy in the slot, man. He comes up and he fills that slot in and comes up and he has to make the tackle. And he's made some great tackles, and I think he's doing a great job on this game. He was doing just fantastic and wrapping up and didn't miss it. I don't think he missed very many tackles. I don't think he missed one at all. I think he was really solid on his technique and Gunnar Maldonado is my guy on the defensive side of the ball.
In fact, let's hear what Jed Fish had to say earlier this week about Gunnar Maldonado.
Yeah, I think Gunnar sometimes got trapped into people thinking he was supposed to be covering somebody he wasn't, or thinking he was supposed to be on a play that he really wasn't supposed to be a part of. So he kind of got knocked early, not rightfully so. I don't think he should have been knocked early like he was. I think he keeps getting better and better and better every single week. A lot of times there's evaluations on guys through, whether it be PFF or others, that you think that, or they think that a play's supposed to be defended by a certain guy, and it's not. So, it is what it is. But in terms of Gunnar, I thought Gunnar, he was the Wildcat of the week for us this week, which means he best exudes everything on and off the field that we're looking for as a player. And I think if you watch the way he's tackling, he had 10 tackles, and the most important part of that is when you're the safety, if you don't tackle him, that means nobody's there. So he did his job, and he does his job each week, practice and games, and really excited to see Gunnar continue to improve.
And Glenn, there was one on offense I forgot to give out when we were talking about it earlier, but I'm also giving an offensive game ball to Michael Wiley, coming back after a bunch of weeks off due to an injury, and Michael with 5 catches for 58 yards, 56 yards after the catches. The Wildcats the receivers rolled up 187 yards in this game after the catch and scored the 2 critical touchdowns in the fourth quarter that allowed the Wildcats to win this game. What a returning performance by the senior, the veteran, the captain, Michael Wiley.
Absolutely. Michael Wiley came in and didn't miss a beat. He did what he does. The guy is just a dynamic back, running the ball. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He can block. He can do all those things, and just unbelievable of how he is just coming back off that injury and just performed at a high level at a crucial game against the number 11 team in the country, and came in like it wasn't nothing and just did his job.
And in terms of the special teams, I'm going to give my game ball to Mr. Jacob Cowing, who had the 2 big punt returns in the fourth quarter. How many times do we say that a big Wildcat upset at the stadium, there's generally a punt return involved in that, whether it's a punt return touchdown. You go back to Antoine Cason and Mike Thomas and some of those guys. But Jacob Cowing, he didn't necessarily get the TD, but he got a couple of, as Jed Fish likes to say, he got a couple of first downs from his 2 punt returns to really set the Wildcats up with some short fields there in the fourth quarter to operate offensively.
I think he did a great job of returning the ball, and is that 2 of the only returns we've had all
season? Yeah, really? Exactly.
I just don't remember another time they did return the ball. But my game ball for is going to go to Kyle Olsendorf. Is that the guy had, he was averaging 51 yards a punt, and then he got 2 inside the 20. Okay.
Well, he got 1, and then the other one was Noah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. He got 1, but he kicked the ball when we needed to have it. He punted well, so I thought he did a great job, and I'm going to give the Kyle that game ball on the special teams.
Yeah, and you mentioned that there hasn't been a lot of punt returns. This team hasn't necessarily had to play a lot of kick return defense. They did get to do that once in the ball game, and of course it was our guy DJ Warnell. We got to shout him out. He had 1 tackle in the game, and it was on that kickoff. He's probably saying, "Man, I don't get a chance to do this much anymore." But he still is taking advantage of that one opportunity to go down and grab somebody on a kick return. So that was good to see. And you mentioned the fact, obviously there were only 2 punts in the game. We haven't seen a lot of punt return defense much at all this year as well. Noah obviously downed his inside the 20. That was another critical special teams play. So there were a number of important special teams play. We cannot forget mentioning Tyler Loop kicking the early 51-yard field goal.
Yeah.
I asked Jed Fish about that on Monday. He said it just kind of felt right. The ball was coming off of his foot good in warm-ups, and they felt like that was a good play in that situation to let Tyler go out there and kick that ball, because that is a situation where we have seen Jedd Fisch go for it in the past, and I like that, because you're gonna. I just feel like there's gonna be a moment in down the stretch in one of these 4 games where you're gonna need Tyler Loop to kick a long field goal late to give yourself a chance to win, and I like that he got that opportunity in this game on Saturday.
Yeah, he did a great job, and special teams is going to be real important the next couple of games. We're getting better. We're not making big mistakes. When they did that kickoff, I was on the sideline when they did that kickoff, and I was yelling, "They're returning! I'm like, the guys did it was almost like they were running down, and then all of a sudden they said, "Whoa, this guy's going to return the ball."
Yeah.
And luckily our guys were in their lanes. They were ready to go. They were breaking down, and it was a great job on the special teams. But I think special teams, if we're going to try to win these next couple of games, we need to be real, real good on special teams, because that's the next, Utah is great in special teams. UCLA's got some guys that can really break it on special teams. So we got to be really careful the next couple of games and really trying to be special on special teams.
Well, and they also successfully navigated that onside kick at the end of the game. I would have liked to have seen somebody jump on that ball a little bit earlier. The kicking team, they've got to let it go 10 yards. You don't have to let it go 10 yards. You can go up there and recover that ball at any point once it gets on the ground. I thought they were a little bit passive in letting that ball get into the 10-yard zone, but kudos and shout out to Blair Willis for pointing out a great block there by Keon Barnett to kind of keep one of those Oregon State defenders away from the ball as it started to kind of roll towards the sideline, and then Jacob Kyung was able to get over there on it and secure it as it was going out of bounds.
I almost lost my mind on that play. I'm telling you, is that it almost like we didn't know what the rule was. We got away with that one, man. That was too close for comfort.
Yeah.
That was too close for comfort. So if you have an opportunity to get the ball, to scoop the ball, especially when that thing was spinning on the ground, that's a little easier to get to that thing and just jump and dive on it and grab it and get on it. We should have never waited for it to go 10. We should have got on it early.
All right, Glenn, homecoming.
That scared the heck out of me.
Homecoming on Saturday night against the UCLA Bruins should be a fun one. We'll see you. We'll see you at the mall on Saturday.
All right, we'll see you then. Looking forward to seeing all my teammates, former teammates, everybody coming back for homecoming. We got to sell this thing out. We got guys. Fans. What are we waiting on? This team is playing unbelievably well, and we got to be able to support these guys and get into the stands. We got to get this place packed to the rim. Bear down.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
All right, a few minutes to go here before we get out of here at the top of the hour, 6 o'clock. We're talking about Tacario Davis there, and I wanted you to hear what Johnny Nansen said today. He was asked how he viewed those 3 plays that Tacario had chances to get interceptions, didn't get the interceptions. They go in the book as passes batted down. Johnny was asked if he thought those were good plays by Tacario Davis.
No, catch the ball. That's 3 picks. He could have been a National Player of the Week. Those are All-American status. Honestly, if you catch all those balls he's dropped, you don't have too many opportunities. We got to make those plays. No, catch the ball.
No, catch the ball. Exactly. That's what I said as well on those. You got to make those plays. If you want to be great, you got to make those plays. All right, let's update you on what's happening in the World Series. It's not good right now.
Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff!
All right, it's a bullpen day for the Diamondbacks, and it has gotten away from them quickly in the second inning. Joe Mantiply started, but the Rangers scored 5 times in the second inning. The big blows, a 2-run triple by Marcus Semien, a 2-run home run by Corey Seager, his third 2-run home run of the series. I think we know who the MVP is going to be if the Texas Rangers win it all. Right now, the Rangers are on top by a score of 5-0 in that ball game. Things not looking good for the Diamondbacks. All right, well, I want to read this statement real quick from Comcast. We reached out to Comcast Xfinity on the Sun situation. Juliana Ferris, who's with Comcast in Albuquerque, sent me this. She says, 1, we are mindful of rising programming costs, most notably for broadcast TV and sports carriage. In deciding what content is most important to secure our customers at a particular price, given the different ways content can now be accessed, the Phoenix Suns have chosen Gray Television, the owner of Arizona's Family Sports, as their new local broadcast partner after their agreement with Bally Sports Arizona ended. Carrying the Phoenix Suns on Arizona Family Sports would increase the cost for all of our customers, whether they want to watch the Phoenix Suns or not. Customers can access the Phoenix Suns games on the channels with use of a one digital antenna to get the games over the air signal, or by streaming on the Kiswe. So there you go. Right now, and we'll get more into this tomorrow. I'll post that as well on our social media platforms. Right now, Comcast not interested right now in doing business with the Phoenix Suns. So you got to get that antenna, or you got to pay for the stream on Kiswe. We told you we would find out what's going on, because that's what we do here on DK on the Sports Tip. Happy Halloween. Don't forget to be in front of your TV at 9 for the big giveaway. Just don't put on that mask, because your brain might implode. Thanks to Cricket. Thanks to J-Dub. Thanks to you, most of all, for listening. I'm David Kelly, DK on the Sports Tip. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. Happy Halloween.
And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy Halloween, 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 happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy Halloween, 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 happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With collisions reported westbound I-10 near Grant, that's off on the right shoulder, Cortero and I-10, La Cañada and Lambert Lane, Houghton and Old Spanish Trail, Tangerine east of I-10 travel there blocked due to a collision. So some slowing Ajo and Mission and southbound La Cholla at Ajo for more backups. Little breezy into this evening and clear skies, 51 the low, sunny and 81 tomorrow and 73 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report.